Hey everyone, welcome to my review here of the Redmagic 10S Pro. So this is a tweaked version, the S models always are. So we have the Snapdragon 8 Elite, but this time around it is now 100 megahertz faster, the maximum turbo, and the GPU now goes up to 1200 megahertz, which is 100 megahertz faster. Oh, sorry, the CPU is actually 150 megahertz faster. So minor little tweak there. It is the leading version, so it's like the overclocked version of this chipset. Other improvements are the liquid metal cooling that we have inside this is now their liquid metal 2.0. So we have the little fan in here that spins at 23,000 RPM. So it's moving air constantly through it to maintain those temperatures and just make sure they're a bit lower. Now, Redmagic's claim is with the tweaks they've made to the liquid metal 2.0 and the cooling, that it is now 5 degrees cooler. The temperatures drop, and I think that must obviously be on average when you're gaming, pushing it really hard. And I'll keep an eye on that, let you know about the temperatures and how hot it does get in this review. And that's really it. Well, we've got Redmagic 10.5, which is based off Android 15. So a slight tweak in the software. They say that the front-facing camera too has had a little bit of a tweak there. So it's an under-display camera, 16 megapixels, but they've tweaked the algorithm, AI algorithm, updated, and the software too, with the storage to make it a little faster. So really, it's the same phone, just faster and slightly better. So what do we get included? Great to see they're still giving us a charger. So it's a GAN charger. It's quite small and it's 80 watts, the maximum charge rate, and a Type-C to Type-C cable. They do include right here a plastic hard case that you can put on it, and that'll keep the triggers open. And I'll show you what it looks like here. So it's very simple case. It's going to give protection to the corners, however, but not the sides. Those are open. So that's what is included, and I hope Redmagic keeps including these little extras here and not just giving us the phone and a Type-C cable. So our screen here, 144 is the maximum refresh rate with this, and it's a screen that can go up to 2000 nits, so indirect sunlight, as you can see now, me testing it out. It's okay. I wouldn't say it's the most legible. It's not stunningly bright like some phones. Like recently I just covered the Honor 400, and that screen I can make out so good in direct sunlight, but it goes up to 5000 nits. This one's 2000. It's acceptable. It's okay, I do think. So the touch refresh rate on this one, the response rate, the sampling rate has an instant sampling of 2500, and then the constant is 960 hertz. The triggers at the top here, those are 520. So that's the same as before, the sampling rate. They're very quick to respond. We have the little switch right here too, if my camera will focus. There we go. That you flick there to go into the dedicated gaming mode. Power on button, volume up and down. 3 microphones in total. Thickness is 8.9 millimeters, and it's a reasonably hefty 229 grams, which I don't think is too bad. So down the bottom here, we have a Type-C port that supports video out. Need that with a gaming phone. That's a must if you ask me. 2 nano SIMs. Loudspeaker here, loudspeaker at the top, and yeah, IR transmitter and 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. Hooray! All gaming phones, this is essential. If a gaming phone doesn't have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack to remove the Bluetooth latency, or you have to use Type-C, I don't think that's acceptable. So this is really good that they have kept this, and they probably won't change, and I hope they never do. So it is running, as I said before, it's running Magic OS, and this is now version 10.5. I've seen no real changes. It's not buggy. We did have a big update come through just before we could go live with these videos, and the performance is fantastic. With the 16 gigabytes of RAM that I do have and 512 gigabytes of storage, I'm noticing no lag whatsoever. Touch response, amazing. It's one of the fastest phones out there that I've used. So the cameras, we've got 50 megapixel ultra-wide, 50 megapixel main camera with optical image stabilization, just like before, and a little tiny, what's for time of flight really, which is just the portrait information 2 megapixel camera. Don't worry, they don't use it for anything else. It's not used for macro shots, and that's good. Then I'll dual tone LED flash, 7,500 milliamp hour battery within this, so plenty of gaming time from that huge battery. Now, I haven't noticed any flicker from the screen, pulse width modulation flicker, none whatsoever, which is good. You don't, of course, want to have that. Even though I don't know the official pulse width modulation rate, what frequency they're using, it seems to be fine. The fact that I don't see any issues. So as I said before, we did have a big update that came through. I've noticed no bugs, and I will show you in display. There are a couple of options. They're all straightforward Android 15 stuff in here. But the one I like here is the fact that the screen refresh rate can be set to 90 or 120 Hertz, not just 60 and 144 that a lot of brands, they give you 60 Hertz for power saving and then the absolute top refresh rate. But we get in between settings, and I hope they keep doing this, and more brands eventually will wake up to the idea that sometimes we like using 90 Hertz or 120 Hertz and not always just flat out top rates there. So I find that the Redmagic OS is fine. It's a little bit like stock Android, and I won't dive deep into the typical Android settings and features and whatnot, because I'm pretty sure we're all familiar with that, and it would make this, if it's not boring already, even more boring, this video, which of course we don't want. Now, bloatware on first boot, there is a bit present, but hardly anything. They've done a good job with this Redmagic ZTE, and that is what we want. We don't want to have a lot of bloat pre-installed. Storage is very quick here, so they claim that they've tweaked this a bit, and I'm maybe seeing it here with the reads. The writes are still very good, and random access reads are incredibly high there too. That is fantastic, how fast this is. So UFS 4.1 we do have, of course, with the Snapdragon 8 Elite leading version here, slightly tweaked, giving me this, a very good Antutu score. I was expecting maybe about the 3 million mark, because their Chinese press release information said 3 million, but I'm not quite getting it. Maybe there's a difference with the firmware with what I have on the global version here compared to the Chinese ROM. I'm not too sure there, but look at that GPU performance too as well. Absolutely stunning, and you'll see that later on. Now, does it get hot? Well, of course it does. Such a hot chipset that it is, even though it's fan cooled, it helps, and it gives us a stability which is very good because of that little fan in there. Oh, we can see a little bit of banding now just with my camera. Trust me, I'm not seeing it in person, however. So it drops down. We lose around approximately 33, 34 or so % in the performance, and it maintains it from about the 5-minute mark onwards, as you can see here. Constant performance. And that's all down to that fan, the vapor chamber in there using liquid metal. So it is working their IceX cooling system that they do call it. And that is good to see. And we're getting a lower score there of about 5,500, and the best loop score extremely high there. And it got up to 54 degrees Celsius when pushing it really hard. So what does that feel like when you're holding it, when you're gaming? If you're playing something like Genshin Impact for 2-3 hours non-stop, it will get hot. It gets uncomfortably hot at times. That is the downside and the con really of this gaming phone, but it's giving you that absolute maximum performance there, and that is what a lot of people are after, and the reason why you'd buy a phone like this. But that is the trade-off that we have to put up with, having quite a very hot frame around the outside. It does have a Widevine level 1 cert. I expected this. Most phones will always have this now. So Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, all in full HD, and a camera API level 3, which is what we want. Battery charge time, 35 minutes at 80 watts to charge the 7,050 milliamp hour battery. I think that's excellent. That is very good. Although it's reporting a lower capacity here. I'm not too sure why that is. It's just misreporting here in Antutu with their battery test here. So this is not correct. So just ignore that. Battery runtime at 144 Hertz, 9 hours and 1 minute for this fixed test that I do on all of my reviews. And this is, I think it's a decent result considering the chipset, considering we do have 144 Hertz. Now, if you lower that down, you're really going to increase your battery life if you tweak down the refresh rate, of course. Real world use, around 7 hours, 6.5, 7 hours with the phone at 144 Hertz refresh rate. Onto the audio, haptics, and we've got a 3.5mm headphone jack, which I've been enjoying using. I mean, for latency, to completely remove those issues you get with Bluetooth, it's the way to go when you're gaming. Now, the call quality has been fine, just like any other flagship. I've noticed no issues. It does have, I believe it has the active noise cancellation, because I didn't hear any issues with background noises coming through or anything like that. The other thing, too, to note with this, the haptics, good, nice, reasonably strong pulses, but not the best I have heard. Speakers do sound good. For gaming phones, I think they should be a little bit loud, but punch to them, a bit of bass there, mids. They need to kind of tweak it up a little bit, and Redmagic has done that. So the volume's there. It's a hint of bass, there's some mids, and I think overall they sound good. As you hear from my sample now, for a gaming phone, they've done a good job with these speakers. On to what the phone is all about, and that of course is the gaming. So if you haven't seen my other videos on the Redmagic gaming phones, I've been covering them since the beginning. I'll do it anyway for you, is flick the switch, which is here on the right. It goes into our gaming lobby. Just turn that volume down. And you have all your games listed here. Now the idea is this is that it's a little hub here to launch all the games, and you're not going to be bothered by notifications, calls, and things like that. You can control, you have other tweaks and settings you can customize per game, which is very handy to have this kind of feature here with it. And I will go into, first, we'll take a look at Genshin Impact on the performance here, and I'll show you how I set up and customize the triggers at the top for gaming. So the triggers here I do find are pretty good. Even for a game like Genshin Impact, by the way, I'm running on the top settings here. It runs really smooth and fine. So I've got someone up here shooting at me. And you can see I can tap this for the magic spells. All right, and to jump, I've just assigned it to that. Now I'll show you how you do it. Most people would know this anyway. Is that if you swipe twice, you go into the gaming menu, but I just want to pause this for a second. So if you swipe from the side here, at the top you need to do it. You bring up the gaming menu, okay, and you can go in here, configure those triggers to what you want it to be. And it just emulates touch on the screen. So it's good for freeing up perhaps, say, another one of your fingers, because you can assign the spells to one of the touch controls or shoulder buttons at the top, and you can still use your fingers for some other control there. So it's good for that. So performance is really good as expected from this. And yes, it will get hot, and especially when you put it into the rise mode, which I have at the moment here. So that's a top performance mode. You've got this here, you've got Eco, Balance, and Rise. Obviously, you just use Eco if you want to get maximum battery life. Let's take a look at PUBG now using these triggers. So how I like to configure it with PUBG is that I have my iron sights or the scope on the right, and then on the left to fire, and I find this works really well, and you get kind of used to holding it a little bit differently, and you still have the other options there you can easily get to if you want, and you can just quickly tap and then fire, so that's pretty handy. Now I've got the game set to the 120 frames per second, so that's the top extreme frame rate, and you do notice that, yeah, it's super smooth, and this game is quite light, and to run the 120 Hertz, you have to put it on a lower graphics option anyway, so it's not like the Ultra HD option, so that's why it is very, very fluid here, and a breeze really for a Snapdragon 8 Elite, the leading edition here to run this game nice and smooth. So I've got someone shooting at me here. Let's test out those triggers. It's pretty hard for me to see them so far away. Okay. But it is handy, and I think it works well for games like this and Call of Duty. Over to the cameras now. So we've seen this with the other Redmagic phones. We've got the under-display camera, and we know the quality is not very good because the sensor's got to look through those pixels around them, and this is why it looks like I've got a smudgy front screen, right, where the camera is, and it looks a little bit blurry, doesn't look good. It also does not handle the sunlight very well, as you can see right now. It just is not good quality here. So if you take a lot of vlog footage, this is not the phone for you because of the under-display camera. We're never going to get the kind of quality you would get with other flagships that have a normal setup with a punch hole or the cutout there, and that's the downside to it. Audio quality is all right. It could be a little bit better, but as you see as I walk along too, the stability isn't looking good either. Rear video, so we have the main camera and the ultra wide. This is currently 4K 30 frames per second. We've got 4K 60, also 8K 30, and I can't on the fly just swap over to the ultra wide. It doesn't let me, so this is just the 24mm main camera at the moment, and I can apply some digital zoom. You can if you want, zoom in and out, but the quality that when I went over at least 2 times really did degrade there. So I go back now to the main camera here, and then we'll take a look at the ultra wide. Yes, we do get more in the shot now with the ultra wide, but the quality has dropped compared to that main camera. It does not look as good. We're still 4K here, the resolution. Then stills, well, selfies look terrible because of the under display camera. Portraits are okay. Here I accidentally had the beautifying on. The stitching is not that good. I turned beautifying off with this shot. It's a lot better. Of course, I've got brilliant subjects I'm taking the photos of then. And red hibiscus, oversaturated, too red, some clipping. This photo, however, is pretty good of snow. I like the details captured with that 50 megapixel camera. This is our ultra wide. It's all right, but you can see the color between both of them is very different. And this is a little kind of overexposed. Not great, the balance there. And their night shots do have a lot of grain to them. Not particularly good. So not flagship grade cameras. Okay, so we basically have the same phone as the Redmagic 10 Pro, but the 10S is a little bit faster, slightly better cooling, so it throttles a little less. And yes, okay, they increased the turbo on the core clocks of that Snapdragon 8 Elite, that it is now 150 megahertz faster. The GPU 100 megahertz faster, and I'm not seeing that difference in real life use at all. And the Antutu score is basically the same as the Snapdragon 8 Elite normal version. So you don't need to upgrade to this, even if you've got, I think, the Redmagic 9, the 9S. But the S models aren't for people to come from the 10 to the 10S, because you just wouldn't do that. That would be absolutely silly. So the bad things about it, they are the same as before, always. Cameras, so front-facing, under-display camera, terrible quality for video especially, selfies, even though improved the algorithm apparently, it doesn't look good. And then we have heat around the frame. It will get quite hot when gaming for long extended periods. I'm talking an hour and a half, 2 hours, you start to feel that heat building up. Even though the fan is doing its job, it's stopping the throttling, there is still a lot of heat being transmitted to the frame and the front. They can't help that. I'm not defending it. It shouldn't get as hot as it does. It can get quite uncomfortable. And that is it. Otherwise, you've got a fantastic screen. The fact that there's no cutout. If you don't take a lot of selfies, then this is the phone for you. Performance of the screen, how snappy it is, how it responds to touch is really good. Gaming triggers are great for your first-person shooters like PUBG that I showed you. It's quick and handy once you get used to it. I think it is a little bit better than touch. We've got the video out, 3.5mm headphone jack, great speakers, and decent battery life for a gaming phone.